Who is the strongest Inazuma 11 team? I've added up the stat totals of every team in Inazuma 11-1 using this spreadsheet, and I'm going to relay the information back to you guys. We're going to be going from 14 to 1, going through the teams with the highest stat totals. We're going to be talking about their best player and their worst player. There are some crazy surprises near the top of this list, so make sure you watch till the very end. And make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. At number 14 is the Street Sallies with a total of 5,811. The Street Sallies are old, stupid, and don't know how to play football. Their best player is Squirrel, and their worst player is River Song. Unfortunately for the Street Sallies, Samantha Moonlight is not a playable character in Inazuma 11. For some reason, is not on the stat table at all, and so she doesn't get counted. And so they, I guess, lost probably who would be their best player. There's a bunch of teams this happens to, so in that case, I basically decided to take a player from their bench, generally the best player on their bench, and add it to their main team to make things a bit more fair, so they still have 11 players to compete against everyone else's 11 players. Number 13 is Inazuma Kids FC, with a total of 5,895, just beating the old people. They unfortunately didn't get to have Millie Moonlight on their team, but Hans Randall was their new best player. And Izzy Island was their worst. At number 12, I'd say this is the first shock of the list, we have Brainwashing, with a total of 6,800. Despite having one of the best players in the game on their team in Thomas Felt, the rest of this team really suck. And I thought this was really interesting. Their worst player is Neil Turner. Yeah, the guy you'd normally consider to be one of their main players, their ace striker, is actually one of their worst, if not the worst. He gets Fire Tornado, but that's like literally it. Number 11 is some more kids, it's Umbrella. Umbrella have a total of 7,165, and the most interesting thing about them is that their best player is some guy on the bench called Most. And fun fact about Most, he has better stats than the majority of Raimon, for some reason. And their worst player is Mildred Scott. Number 10 is Wild with a total of 7,669. Nice. Their best player is Eagle, and their worst player is Chameleon. Number 9 is Otaku, who might have been a bit higher than you expected, considering, you know, they're like weebs and have no social lives, no lives, and no woman. Their best player is their goalkeeper Idol, and their worst player is a tie between Train and Online. Number 8 is one of the last teams you take on in the game, Farm. And despite the whole thing about Farm's defense, their best player is actually Spray, and their worst player is Milky. Farm have a total of 7,882. Number 7 is Shuriken, the team you take on before Farm. You can see how the order's starting to get a bit weird now. Shuriken have a total of 7,928. Their best player is their Captain Cloak, which makes a lot of sense, and their worst player is Star. Number 6 is the second last team in the game, Kirkwood. Kirkwood have a total of 8,031. Their best player is Malcolm Knight, which I thought was interesting. Their best player isn't any of the Murdoch siblings, despite one of them having one of the best kick stats in the game. And their worst player is Ricky Clover. Number 5 is someone who might take you completely by surprise. Occult. Occult have a total of 8,074, which is insane. They have higher stats than Kirkwood. Their best player is Wolfie. Their worst player is Styx. And Wolfie is one of the best players in the game, weirdly enough. Number 4 is a team that's been kind of handicapped by just the limits of this video, and that's Zeus. Zeus have a total of 8,461, but unfortunately they didn't get to have Aphrodite or Poseidon on this team, so you can imagine their stats probably maybe could have been a tad higher, though I don't think it would have really made a difference. Weirdly enough, I replaced Aphrodite with Achilles, and Achilles is actually Zeus's best player stat-wise, and their worst player is Dionysus, despite how intimidating and scary he's made to be in the actual anime. Raimon come in at number 3, the main characters. Now, they are missing Jude, Eric, and Bobby, but the rest of the team still get up to number 3. Obviously, Mark Evans is their best player, Axel shortly behind, and then their worst player is Timmy Saunders. Turns out Todd is actually not that bad. And now, number 2, with a total of 9,027, is Royal Academy. Jude is by a mile their best player, and their worst player by quite a big margin is actually Peter Drent. But this means that the best team in Inazuma 11-1 is the Inazuma Veterans, the classic Inazuma 11, which makes a lot of sense. They're meant to be like the greatest thing ever, and so they actually are the greatest thing ever. Hillman unfortunately wasn't on the spreadsheet, so we had to replace him with someone else, but it literally didn't matter because Veterans still won by like 500 points. Their worst player is Gladstone, and their best player is actually the best player in the entire game, Taylor. But that's the list. That's every team in Inazuma 11 1 ranked by their base stat totals. If you enjoyed, make sure you let me know by liking and commenting on this video and subscribing to the channel. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.